this is not to be greedy and take my second speaking slot to talk about my ideas. I'm more interested now in your ideas. And the first thing is, how is everybody feeling? Is anybody a little bit cold, like me? Raise your hand. I don't know if possible to make this place warmer. I've come all the way from Manchester, and the weather is just the same in Manchester. So never mind, that's fine. The second thing is, the session is about the interactive process. So if you want to be involved, and I really hope you are involved in the coming days in this interactive process, please move a little closer if you can. That would be really helpful to you and to me. Really, being on a stage with an auditorium is not the right setting. It would be better to be around a big table. But that's not possible, so let's just... you'll see a whole set of links. One or two of these are now on the WhatsApp community. If you didn't sign up already, please sign up. It's a very good way to communicate and keep the discussion going. In the meantime, I've introduced a structured online discussion, and the reason for that is we can then bring AI to bear. Now, why do we want to do this? Well, AI is incredibly powerful. I'm now, a convert, and I got a big shock the other day because I put the theme of this workshop. I started a document to ask the foresight questions, meaning, okay, we have all this knowledge, where do we want to go with it? Can we achieve what we want to achieve, which is to get natural flood management into the hands of the people, so to say, or enable and empower the tribal communities, the low-income communities, and so on, to live in a sustainable world. That's a big task. The foresight process is one way to do that, or one way to approach that. Now that we have the potential and power of AI at our fingertips, we have to say, so if AI simply produces more and more and more information, and literally the outline for this workshop was produced in about 10 seconds on Claude, it's very, very good. Then, so what do the humans do? Are we all, redundant? Could we replace half the people in this room with robots? Sorry to raise the question, but this is what we are now asking in our part of the world. So the process which we have in mind is really quite experimental. At the moment, as I think I mentioned briefly yesterday, we have an international collaboration with Manchester, Beijing, and now Calcutta. So I'm very pleased to include Calcutta, Bengal, in this international collaboration. And what we're doing is to experiment actively and interactively with AI as a tool to enable the humans to grow their collective intelligence, the collective human intelligence, CHI, or Chi for short, combined with AI. The result is chai, which is a very popular drink in India, so I hear. Anyway, so we have a process, and the outline looks like this. I think if anybody who was here yesterday will recognize some of the graphics on the screen. We have an in-person discussion. This may take place on Friday in a somewhat reduced form, but we hope to compare notes as we go along. So starting tomorrow evening after the field trip before dinner, and Thursday evening after the field trip before dinner, we'll take half an hour to 1 hour, as much as we need, I think, to say, okay, so we are seeing and talking and looking at information, and on the field trip it will be very exciting because this is not PowerPoints, presentations, this is the real thing out there, and also inputs from the tribal people. Fantastic. So where we started yesterday was to put up some idea of the knowledge mapping. You see the green bit in the middle of the screen, and I'll illustrate where that has got to so far. Then we have this circular thing, a 4-stage process, and underneath that we have an icon for the mural workspace, the interactive workspace. These have all been developed over quite a few years. The online workspace really took off in the pandemic because suddenly our global project, which included Indian partners in Chennai, by the way, this was suddenly online, no travel allowed. So I thought, okay, we will produce, a workspace that replicates as far as possible the synergy effect of a face-to-face meeting. You'll notice on the left-hand side, well, we have our expert speakers. These are represented as little spheres of knowledge and feeling and so on. We are making AI summaries of what they are saying. Why would we do that? Well, because we can then feed it more easily into the knowledge mapping. And I'll show you in a minute the first stage of that. We also have a dedicated AI system. It's called Preempt, and this is configured to produce high-level foresight reports. And when we say foresight, we basically are assessing the state that we're in and the challenge, looking into the future, all the different possibilities, then coming back to the present with a plan of action or a roadmap. So this is not only to say, oh, we've done some research here and these are the numbers and so on. This is really a proactive approach. Again, to say, if we are serious and we want to take this NFM back to policy and to business and to the indigenous people and the peasants and everybody, civil society, yeah, we have to get our act together. It's not actually enough to have expert presentations and slides and then a report at the end. And from my experience, most of the time you give the report to the policymaker and they say, thank you very much, we'll put it on the shelf. But we have an election to think about first, or we have no money, and so on. You're all familiar with this. So we try to do better, and this is where the concept of the collective human intelligence comes in. So you can see roughly we are making AI summaries where they are useful, and they are useful only as far as they can enable the collective human intelligence. Firstly, between the people in this meeting and our colleagues, and then more importantly, between the policymakers, the business, the civil society, and so on. How do we do that? Well, in the form of a roadmap. But this is not just a report on the shelf, this is an evolving action plan. This is a big challenge, but I don't see any alternative if we're serious about what we are doing. We want natural flood management. We think this has huge potential in a very challenging world of climate change, and so on. So this is what we are trying to do. You'll see also in the bottom right-hand corner a crowd intelligence. Well, this is what we want to do, but we're not quite ready yet. Maybe in the next phase, if I come back, actually I will be back in September, we will be further advanced and we can share what we know about mobilizing the crowd intelligence with these techniques. And this, I think, could be very important for the communication with the indigenous people for a start. Okay, so a brief roundup, and then I'll show you where we're up to. And these are the various questions that we're asking. Okay, well, yesterday we saw briefly the online workspace. It's a large board in the mural system. I'll come back to that in a moment. I'll show you the live thing in a moment. You'll see on the left-hand side there are presentations. Mine is there. Again, to repeat, if any speakers can send me their slides or a link to their slides, I will put them on the whiteboard so that everybody can see. You don't have to take, photos of, the slides. This is basic stuff. Also then, in the resources section, there is a set of documents already produced by AI. And some of them are really very high quality. It's actually scary to me, who've spent my whole life doing this and processing knowledge, creating knowledge, suddenly to say, oh, we just ask the machine, it will come back in 5 or 10 seconds, it's scary. So let's see the interactive version of that in a moment. Just to remember, here is the people, the humans. We use a 4-stage process. This has been evolved over about 25 years in many projects in many countries, and it's still evolving, but the basics are pretty clear. And I can say it's not perfect, but it works for this kind of purpose of envisioning a transformative future and working towards achieving it. In more detail, the process has 4 stages. First, we talk about the problem, then we talk about the future scenarios, then we talk about synergies, visions, new ideas, new ways of working together, and then we talk about roadmaps or pathways, which is, okay, so what do we do? Briefly, I'll show you examples of each of these. Stage 1, we saw the actors around the table, and in the challenge that we face, well, there are new actors which are not included here, actually. This is a UK example. We don't have tribal people, but so, okay, we need to revise that and improve it for this situation. We saw briefly yesterday the knowledge mapping of all the different types of knowledge, technology, environment, social, economic, political, cultural. We put NFM in the middle because that is our topic, and then as we go along, we can systematically look for relationships between the different knowledges. We looked briefly at stage 2, which is looking into the future and the idea of alternative scenarios. It would be interesting to say, okay, if we're serious about the NFM challenge, then we know that the world in 20 years from now may not be the same as it is today. It's already very confusing and challenging, but it may be more so. How could that work? What are the possibilities this way or that way? So we can start to draw a very simple graph. The cartoons help to illustrate. If we were doing a full-scale exercise, we would take some time to think more creatively, and this is maybe where the literary approach mentioned by the previous speakers really comes in and is a really useful and valuable way to go. I'm just aware that many of the speakers are still having tea. Do you think we could invite them into the room, because it's actually quite important. Excuse me. Looking at mythologies, religious experience and spiritual experience can be really useful. For example, if you say, just to reiterate, the future that we are designing for, the NFM-enabled future, may not be the same as the future today. Here are some of the possibilities. This is an example from another project. And also we use pictures a lot. You see on my CV somewhere, there is a big focus on visual thinking. So this is my little sideline, I draw pictures or grab them somewhere. And stories can be told, songs and dances can be made even, and so on. So I'm hoping to learn from the Indigenous people in the next couple of days about ways to do this in a creative way that helps people to think outside of the box and make more sense of a very uncertain future. Then we talk about the synergies in stage 3 of this whole thing. And again, we saw one of these diagrams yesterday, the synergies of actors. And we look for ways in which some of the actors can agree on some things for some of the time. Not all the time usually, but some of the time. And we work with that because we have to work with the real world as it is, not as we would like it to be. Also, this is another graphic showing the transformation effect, again from another project on circular economy, but we can start to say, okay, and actually the circular economy stakeholders, this is the UN Industrial Development Organization in Ukraine, they really like the diagram because otherwise it's words, 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 bullet point, very boring, and what do we do really, and so on. So you give them a picture and say, oh yeah, so I can see my house there, you know, somewhere, or my business or something, and it starts to make sense for the transformation vision factor. Finally, just to say, I think this workshop is not short of vision. There are fantastic visions for natural flood management and also for many of the techniques that we are seeing, you know, come forth. However, the vision for how the whole of Uttar Pradesh or something can be transformed, not only with natural flood management, but all of the other systems of democracy and enabling of livelihoods and land management and agriculture and so on and so on. These are big scale challenges and maybe big scale visions. So finally, in the fourth stage, we talk about strategies. Again, here is one example from another project. But basically we say, okay, we take a longer term view, 3 horizons, so-called. Horizon 1 up to maybe 3 or 5 years, Horizon 2 maybe 10 years, Horizon 3 25 years or so, way beyond the current election cycle or budget limits and so on. Why do we do this? Because we are looking for the long-term transformation. And as you can see, then you can start to get quite specific about, oh, this, we do this in the medium term with these people, and that will help to move towards this vision on the right-hand side, and so on. So that is what I am hoping will come out of this whole project. Again, not just a set of abstracts, but more like a vision and a pathway, or a roadmap, so that the policy can see, oh, we are going to do this and this, business and infrastructure people can say, yeah, we do that and that. Civil society say, yeah, we will work on this, and so on. So, not to say it's all fixed, but quite the opposite, but at least there is a sense of direction. Okay, so then, what does the AI say? Well, I ran a test, put the question of this project into Claude, and after quite a while, it takes more time to design a PowerPoint, and then you have to fiddle around to make it readable, but it's actually very good. And not to go into it now, but it sees barriers and solutions to NFM, a community-centered implementation, nice case study from Gorakhpur, and here is a roadmap all the way over to 25 years. And that's just headings, and there is more detail if you want it in each of those. And critical success factors, and so on. Now, this is just to say, the AI is really good. I'm actually scared. Will I have a job? I don't know. Will you have a job? Well, I hope so. But let's say the main task here is for the humans to stay ahead of the AI, to use the AI to enable, greater human intelligence, which is direly, urgently needed to solve the big problems of the day. Climate change, number one, but many other problems also. So, well, how we are constructing our CHAI process, again, CHAI is collective human artificial intelligence, and that combination. Well, so we go back to our 4-stage diagram and say, okay, so now we can be more specific and ask questions and review at each of the 4 stages. During this week, we're not going to get much beyond stage 1 or 2, although stages 3 and maybe 4 are also in the frame somewhere, but we have to be realistic about what can be achieved. Thank you. 10 minutes. So, and then briefly, there is a bit more explanation if anyone wants to look at this. These slides are on the whiteboard, and you should have the links for the whiteboard already now, if you want to have a look. So, I will not spend much more time now talking about how collective intelligence works, but it's a very interesting story. We also then are looking particularly at how the theory of collective intelligence applies to AI on that side at different levels, from the individual, put a query in, get an answer, to group working, and also to crowd intelligence. And then in the middle we have an interface where the humans meet the AI. This is the structure of our collaboration with Beijing at the moment. And I'm hoping that Calcutta and West Bengal can be part of this. Okay, so quickly, I will move over to the whiteboard. Just making sense so far. And okay, so then we see the slides over here. If anyone wants to have a look, again, speakers, please send me your slides if you have any. We already have your abstracts. So I took the liberty to produce a little summary of the abstracts. This is on the whiteboard, also on the WhatsApp chat. Claude produced the summary. I managed to feed in some detailed instructions to Claude. This is very important at the stage. There's a big green space here for general observations and discussions. You're welcome to just drop a few comments right now before lunch. And then, well, just for example, here is the summary of the speaker abstracts organised by different thematic categories. So you can see, here's the government category. I'll not talk about this in any detail, but just to say this is here. And here's the economic, social categories, including starting with indigenous ecological knowledge. It even mentions, Amitabh Ghosh literature, interesting. I guess this was in your abstract, and so on. So this is one step, and this is not the whole answer, clearly. Here's the technical side, here's the river management knowledge in the middle, rivers, floods, dams, etc., with a few examples. Now, again, this is simply taking from the abstracts. I did not myself read all the abstracts, but I would like to. But it's more to say, this is how we are processing what is in there. Why would we do this? Well, because at the end of the day, we're looking for connections which are significant and practical. Meaning, again, if we're serious about making real progress on this, we need not only a report on the shelf and not only a set of academic papers which stay inside the academic community usually, but we need to really help government and business and civil society and the indigenous and so on to really work together more than they do. Now, when we say work together, you have to be careful because it's easy to be idealistic. We do live in a pretty big, bad world with structures of power, of wealth, inequality, exclusion, all kinds of stuff. As a representative of UK, I take full responsibility for the evils of colonialism. I'm deeply sorry, but we are where we are now. And so, again, what we're trying to do here is to say, okay, there are ways of working which start to make sense of this. And by the way, if anyone wants cross-cutting insights, I'm sure some of these things will emerge over dinner, for example, or coffee, tea breaks. But here they are all written down so far as analysed by the AI. Now, what would be much better if this, could they be analysed by the humans? Could the humans check the AI and add where the AI has got it wrong or where it missed something? I'll just also say on the interactive document, which is here, it looks like this. You should have the link now. If not, it's on the, even on the handout. Somewhere there's a bunch of handouts. I'll put them down here somewhere. Please help yourself to a handout. Yes, well, there's not enough actually for the whole room. So if I just put a pile at the front and pass it around.